The Sciforror Film Podcast. Hello and welcome to the Sciforror Film Podcast. I am Andy Walker, and the other person on your screen is my son Scott. Hello, Scott.
Hello there. I would say I'm on the screen if you're watching this, because if you're just listening to it, that sentence makes no sense.
Well, all right. Smarty bum. Anyway,
hello, Father.
hello. How art thou?
Fine, actually. Feeling a bit meh because of the weather, but
Fair enough. Good.
oh, it's just English weather, and it goes all over the place, and it's been hot and cold and raining and all that, and it's only been one day.
Yeah, well, I know what you mean. Right. Let's get straight into this. Let's not ferret around fiddle fart arsing again about stuff that isn't anything to do with anything or something. This week we are reviewing 4 short films, as we used to, and just as way of a change from reviewing 1 long and 2 short ones, we're doing 4 short ones and stuff. I don't know what I'm going on about anymore. So we'll start off with the horror stuff. The first film is a short film from 2018. It's available on Alta on YouTube, and it's called You'll Only Have Each Other. Film was made by Alison Eve Hammersley, who was the director and co-writer. The other co-writer was Samantha Silvey. The cast, interestingly, Amelia Rose Blair, who did some shorts and TV stuff in the 2010s, 2020s, and was in True Blood.
Do you know what? It's been bugging me because I sat there watching it and I thought she looked really familiar, and it's been bugging me. And I couldn't figure out why.
They also in cast was Brian Deschart, Jennifer Tofel, Christine Sloan, Julia Axe, and Erica Lynn Castillo. Now, the synopsis for this says, after the death of her mother, After the death of her mother, a disconnected daughter must face the strange and horrible manifestations of her guilt. Yeah. So, what did you think?
Yeah, I've done the stupid thing again. I really need to stop doing this, but I've read the synopsis after I watched the film. I really need to stop because the film made no sense. Oh, it did make sense, sort of, but it made a lot more sense after I read that bit.
Yeah.
But for me, I think I really liked it actually. The effects that they used in it of some of the effects of with the sheets when she's laying on the bed and later on the time the editing as well. There's one scene in it I really love when she walks past the corridor and suddenly her brother appears in it.
Yeah,
I thought was so well done.
It was.
There was different bits as well. I love the sort of her staring out the window as well, the way that was done, and watching, like remembering what was going on, but like she was watching her memory.
Yeah,
I thought was very well done. I wouldn't get the fact the horror aspect to it, but for me, it wasn't that much of a horror.
It was.
There was horror aspects to it, and I think that was very well done, but it wasn't like a massive in your face horror. It was creepy moments, I'd say.
It's a kind of supernatural sort of
It
Yeah,
was
I
more of
know.
a more supernatural, ghostly film than I would say a proper horror.
Yeah, I did like. I mean, I think that right from the start of it, it had a great atmosphere. The whole thing, the atmosphere, it was worked really well, and the dark and light. It was really interesting because the house was quite darkly quite darkly lit a lot of the time.
Yeah,
And when they were in the bedroom, it was a very dark room with the light coming through the window. And then when they went into the kitchen was brilliant
yeah,
white, which really
yeah.
kind of like made them stand out because they were wearing black. It kind of really made them
It's,
stand out.
I don't know whether or not it was meant to be done as well, but it the filming way they done it, it was the you know like you see on old um sort of old films where you see the sort of crackle on the
Yeah,
screen with it. I thought that was very well done because it almost like, especially when they were doing the memory sequences.
yeah, yeah.
It fit really well, and it made me. As I said, it made me feel like you were actually watching a memory.
It's interesting. The beginning parts of it, the first part of it, quite a big section of that, and a few other bits later on. It was difficult to tell if she was hallucinating or dreaming, or if what was going on was really happening.
Yeah,
You know, which I think was really well done. It was really good. I liked the fact that some of the shots were framed interestingly. You had the whole thing with the room at the end of the corridor.
yeah,
You also had that kind of mirrored when you had the shot of her standing at the table because it was taken down the center of the table with all of the bowls
yeah.
of food and that sort of thing. You kind of got the same sort of shot.
What I liked as well was that the you saying about the corridor bit is that when she started walking towards the door, it's sort of it behind her, all the lights faded out and it went to it sort of darkness behind her. But obviously the corridor was still well lit, so
Yeah,
it made her stand out a lot more and make it focus on her. And I thought it was really well done.
it
A
was
lot of the
really
filming
good.
and the sound effects in it as well.
Yeah.
It wasn't like massively in your face and over the top with it. It was very subtle, and I loved the way they done it.
The thing about it as well was that the end of it, for me, the end of it wasn't quite what I expected it to be,
No,
but I did like it. I think it
yeah.
worked really well.
I was expecting. I sat there watching it, and when it come to the way that it was ending, I was like, "Oh, this is going to end disappearing or something like that." And
Yeah,
the change and twist in it, I was like, it shocked me. What I loved about it as well is that whether or not they meant it to, but it was the different aspect between her and her like meant to be her brother who stuck around of
yeah,
the different feelings of grief.
yeah,
Obviously, she sort of blamed herself for the fact she wasn't around, and the fact that almost like I'm guessing it was her mum was,
yeah,
was like um, almost sort of she left and her mum sort of got rid of everything to do with her,
yeah,
and she sort of felt bad about it. But then the brother sort of pushed it home a bit more.
yeah,
But
yeah,
obviously and then for his different feeling because he stuck around and he was the one that looked after her, and I thought that it just shows again the fact that everyone deals with things differently. I feel was very well put across.
definitely. Definitely. I really think it's a really good film, really well made. It works really well. It's
Mhm.
uh it's an interesting film. I think we're gonna have to see if I can. I'd like to find out some more. Find out if she's done some more films, Alex Eve Hammersley, and see what other stuff she's done. Okay, next one, the second one, which is a lovely film. I had the privilege of watching this on a big screen last year at the Romford Horror Film Festival, um, and it's from 2015. It's called Boris in the Forest. Director was Robert Hackett, who did some shorts and some music videos and TV stuff. Writer was Mike Goldfarb. Now, the two main characters in the cast are George Giorgio, who had done TV stuff and shorts in 2010s, including being in Game of Thrones. And he was also in the film 300 Rise of an Empire in 2014. And the other main character is Mac McDonald. Now, Mac McDonald was uncredited in Aliens in 1986, right? But he was in Rollerball in 1975. Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back in 1980. He did some TV stuff in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, including being the captain in Red Dwarf.
Probably one of his most notable things for sci-fi, anyway.
Yeah. He was in Superman 4 in 1987, Batman in 1989, Nightbreed in 1990, and The Fifth Element in 1997.
Yeah.
How they managed to get him to be in this film, I do not know.
Not only how they managed to get him in this film, how they managed to get him in this film dressed the way he was.
Yeah, that's true.
Them shorts that he was wearing were a bit revealing.
Yes. But the synopsis for this says an American tourist searches for the birthplace of his hero, horror film star Boris Karloff. He doesn't expect to find it that it is now a kebab shop, but it is not all that it seems.
Mm.
Now, I really like this. I really like this film. I think it's got a great mixture of comedy, the real reverence to the old horror stuff, and Boris Karloff in particular, and it's got a good kind of horror basis to it. You know, the story, the actual story in the end is quite a good horror story, but it's just brilliantly done. I really love it.
What I love like you said, the comedy factor is right up to the end, even in the end bit where you got this proper horror scene bit that's going on, and he's still pretty much geeking out over it.
Yeah,
and I loved it. But what I loved is the fact that I sat there and I had to pause because I was laughing so much at the woman in the kebab shop.
yes,
For me, why I laughed is because of the fact that there's one that's very close to me, like there's a fish and chip kebab place in that looked a lot like this place, which freaked me out for a bit. But there is a woman that sits in there and just laughs. There's nothing going on, but she sits there and just laughs, and the guys can't get rid of her because of the fact that obviously she's a paying customer. She'll go in there pretty much every day, order a portion of chips, and just sits in the corner and laughs.
brilliant.
And this woman just reminded me of her so much. And I sat there and was like, and the thing is, that's what freaked me out even more is the fact I was like, it looked like it was down the road from me.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there like, was it? And it's only because of the background outside the window that I'm like, no, that's not from that. That's not in mine.
I was quite impressed by the guy that they had in it who was kind of doing the kind of Boris Karloff bit. He looked very much like Boris Karloff did as the creature in Frankenstein.
Yeah.
The only thing about this film that I really think they could have done with losing, and it's just a personal thing, just because it just makes me go, oh, is the opening shot. Do we really need to have a long opening shot where he's talking to a dog of the dog sitting on the floor cleaning its bits?
Yeah.
Because that really was a bit like, really, do we need that? But I loved it. I love the film. I really do. It's a great film, and it's the good thing about it is the title tells you nothing about what it's about, and even the synopsis really doesn't tell you what it's actually about.
No.
But it is brilliant. It's just so brilliantly done.
It is, and what I love about it is, so like you said, is the fact that it's the fact that it is this brilliant film, and the cast they've got in it just makes it so much better because of the
Oh,
way that. But I just it's the bit I loved about it is because I know so many people, especially horror fans, that would be there. They're just like go into this like he says about the place above the shop
yeah,
and goes up to it. It's very creepy. It's like noises and stuff on there, and he finds a shrine, and he's just the fact he just sits there and goes, "That's really nice." It's
yeah.
like,
Yes, I know it's bizarre, but yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I know lots of people I know people that be taking photos of it and things like that.
yeah.
It's just but it's definitely a good film and definitely worth a
To be
watch.
honest, a part of me really, mainly just is the big guy that's in me, but I really want to go to this kebab shop just so I can have all this stuff in a bucket.
Yeah, no, I yes, that's quite a bucket. That's
Yeah.
quite a bucket. Okay. Now, the third film, we're going to the sci-fi stuff. Now, hang on a minute, because I've got a thing here because I've no idea how this is actually pronounced.
No.
So it's a 2022 film that I think is called Hiraeth, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's correct.
To be honest, I wouldn't even want to guess
No.
because
Um,
I'd probably end up screwing it up somehow.
the director of this was Ryan Adams, who before this had only ever done music videos, which is quite weird. The writer was Stephen Lawton. The cast is Olivia Ross and Jonathan Forbes. The synopsis for this film says Amber Jones is a British astronaut on the first manned mission to Europa. She is a controversial choice with a checkered background. The film explores her grief at the edge of the solar system.
Mm.
I was a bit confused by the beginning of this, but the voiceover did help a lot.
Yeah, it did, but
I was
I was
still a bit
still very
confused by it.
yeah.
I think the effects were really good, and I think the story works quite well as a story. Just about the right length. I kind of like it, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
to be honest, I feel quite bad because like you said, the graphics for it were amazing on parts of it, the effects.
Yeah.
Um, the saying it confused me, even with the story and the voiceover bit. It was very confusing, and I'm not 100% sure really what it was all about.
Well, I mean, obviously she's on this mad mission to check out Europa, and the ship she's on blows up, and she's going to die.
Oh no, I get that, but
But
it
yeah,
it was the whole the checkered background bit. It just sort of
yeah, that was a bit
I'm not
weird.
100% sure why that was needed to be put in.
Some of the stuff they were showing, I couldn't work out whether it was things that she was remembering or if it was things that were happening now
Yeah,
while she was there. So I was a bit confused with that. Um, but it's an okay film. It looks fantastic, and their acting is good, and it works. The story works well for what it is, and it's you know, but I don't know.
it's lacking something, but I'm not too sure what.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know, I mean, it's an unfortunate thing because it is really well made and really, looks
Mm.
really good, and yeah, I don't know what
Yeah,
it is. As you say, I don't know what it is. There's something not quite there
yeah.
somehow. Okay. The fourth film is another short science fiction film. This is called Coded. It's from 2022 by Two Ronin Pictures. Director is Jose Salazar, who was also the co-writer with Connor Brown. Cast is Connor Brown, Martin Davis, Alexander Stewart, Michael Hayden Springer, and Jose Salazar. The synopsis is a group of ragtag survivors take an enemy hostage after one of their daughters is killed. So yeah, what do you think? What?
Not, I don't ever like saying this about film. Well, actually, no, that's not true. I like saying that about short films anyway. I don't like saying it because I know they try hard with it. I really don't like this one.
Okay.
It's the acting for it. Well, I'll rephrase that. The acting of the leader,
Yeah.
the I was in Martin Davis in it. It just I'm not saying he's a bad actor, but I think the director he was given for this just it
Yeah.
felt so forced.
It does. I mean, a lot of the acting feels quite wooden
Yeah.
and sort of like some of the camera work is really odd. There's some real close-ups and cutaway shots, which I don't know why they're in it because they're close-ups of things that aren't anything to do with what's going on in the story.
Mm.
And then you've got these cutaway shots, which kind of like don't make a lot of sense.
I will say the only redeeming factor of it
Mm,
was the makeup.
yeah,
Well, actually, I'll rephrase that. The only redeeming factor on it was the makeup on the android.
Yeah.
because the blood ketchup that was on the man after he got his head smashed in was blatantly obvious ketchup, because
yeah.
there is no way on earth anyone the blood would be that bright red.
But yeah, I
Sorry,
mean,
Croppy.
it's not. I don't think it's a bad film, in as much as I think its story works, and it would. I think. Yeah, it doesn't do much for me, and it kind of like has elements of it that I really kind of felt, not sure about that at all.
Yeah, it's. I'm saying I tried. I really wanted to like it because I
Yeah,
thought it was going to be quite a good film, and I don't know.
as
There
you,
was saying there were certain redeeming factors of it, but it's just not enough for me.
as you say, I mean, yeah, we never like, we never like having a go at short films because of the fact that people they're made under incredible conditions with people making them with no money and no sort of like, and quite often very little experience and things like that. So I applaud them for what they've done. And as I say, the story itself is not a bad story. The
No,
idea behind
it's
it,
not a bad story. I'm saying it's okay. Yeah, it's sort of one that's been done a few times, but again, their unique way of doing it. But it's just,
yeah,
I think that's the saying. It's I hate to say it, but there's few redeeming factors, but for me, there's not enough. It just
yeah. No, I know.
there's too many cons about it
Yeah,
for it to
it
make
didn't.
it a good film.
I mean, it didn't really do anything for me. I must admit. I kind of got to the end and I thought, yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah,
So
I was saying the only redeeming factor really for me about it is the makeup on her,
yeah,
the
on
effects
her,
that
the
they
effects on
use.
her. Yeah, that was good. That was good.
Mm.
So, well, there you go. We had two horror films and two sci-fi films for you. You Only Have Each Other was good, but don't expect it to be overtly horror. It's more cerebral. Boris in the Forest, brilliant film, really good fun. Hiraeth, it is okay. It looks got a good look to it, but yeah, not a lot more than that. And Coded is a bit kind of really,
Mm.
not our sort of thing. But as we always say, go and have a watch of them yourself. Let us know what you think. If you think what we're saying is absolutely rubbish, and you prefer you think those films are good, and we're wrong, which is, I'm not saying I'm not never ever going to say that our opinion is the only opinion possible, and I'm never going to say that we're absolutely right, because again, it is just our opinion. Um, so as I say, if you want to put us straight on things, then feel free to do so. There will be a thing with the podcast for you to be able to contact us and leave comments as you would do so, and all that. So, thank you very much, Scott, for being part of the show.
That's okay. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you to anybody and everybody for listening, watching, poking your tongue out at us, picking your nose, picking your bum, playing ice hockey.
Playing ice hockey while watching this.
You could do.
That'd be impressive.
And especially thank you to Mrs. Beryl Pugh of 32 The High Road, Oswestry, who sent me a very nice cardigan. It was actually meant for her son, but she got the address wrong. Anyway, we will be here again next week, and hopefully some of you may be as well too.
Well, too.
As well too. Yes, the as well to the sequel. Or something. Thank you very much, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.
The Sciforror Film Podcast.